The Brink, Israel, Iran, and the Coming Storm, Part 1, A Warning from Tel Aviv. The latest development is chilling in its simplicity. War could break out again. Not a distant possibility, not a worst-case scenario, a near certainty. Israel has warned the world that it will soon resume its long-term military objectives against Iran. The timing is no accident. The United States continues to tighten its grip on Iran's economy, closing ports and strangling the nation's financial lifelines. Together, the two allies are squeezing Tehran from both sides, militarily and economically. Israeli Defense Minister Yisrael Beiteinin stood before a crowd at a ceremony honoring the new commander of the Israeli Air Force. His words were measured, but his meaning was unmistakable. The campaign against Tehran is not over yet, he said. He reminded his audience that the recent attacks had set Iran back by years, destroying missile sites, killing top commanders, crippling nuclear facilities. Together, the two allies are squeezing Tehran from both sides, militarily and economically. But then came the warning. Additional operations may still be necessary. Israel's long-term strategic goals have not been fully achieved. Over the past year, Iran has carried out serious attacks in many areas. But Israel, the defense minister suggested, may have to act again soon. Soon. The word hung in the air like a blade. Part 2. The senator from Alaska. While Israel prepares its warplanes, the United States is preparing its laws. Senator Lisa Murkowski, a Republican from Alaska, stood on the Senate floor on Thursday and announced her plan. When Congress returns in May, she will introduce a bill authorizing the use of military force against Iran. The bill is a backup plan. If the Trump administration fails to present a credible military strategy to Congress, Murkowski wants lawmakers to have their own option. Her message was clear. When American troops are deployed, Congress and the American people deserve clarity. They deserve to know the objectives. They deserve to know the strategy. She also had sharp words for the Democrats. Their new war powers resolution, she argued, aims only to halt military action. It offers no path forward, no vision for victory. We need formal authorization, Murkowski said. We need to limit Congress's role in micromanaging military action while still providing oversight. The subtext was impossible to miss. War is coming. The only question is who will authorize it. Part 3. The diplomatic collapse. Behind closed doors, Israeli officials are bracing for the worst. According to Channel 12, cabinet ministers have been briefed in recent days on a disturbing assessment. Talks between the United States and Iran could collapse by the end of this week. Not next month, not next year. This week. If the talks fall apart, the United States may step up its pressure campaign in the Strait of Hormuz. Naval exercises, military maneuvers, a show of force designed to break Iran's will. Israeli television reported on Sunday that Israel is now on high alert. The military is preparing for a return to combat with Iran at a moment's notice. Any indication that President Donald Trump may decide to resume military action, any indication at all, and Israel will be ready to strike. The report came as Trump sat in the White House, receiving a briefing from General Kerr, the commander of U.S. Central Command. On the table, military options, targets, timelines, casualty estimates. While Trump studied the maps, Israeli officials held their own series of in-depth discussions. In their minds, Washington is pushing toward a decision. The question is not whether hostilities will resume, but when. Part 4. The Diablo III missile. Then came the news that made the Pentagon's adversaries pause. Bloomberg reported that U.S. Central Command has requested the deployment of an advanced supersonic missile codenamed the Diablo III. If the request is approved, it would mark the first time Washington has used this type of missile technology in the Middle East. The message to Iran would be unmistakable. America is bringing new weapons to the fight. Weapons you have never faced before. Weapons you cannot stop. The request came after Iran moved its missile launchers out of range of an existing U.S. surface-to-air missile system. Tehran is adapting. It is learning. It is positioning itself to survive an American strike. But CENTCOM is adapting too. A source familiar with the matter told Bloomberg that the request has not yet been finalized, but preparations for possible hostilities are already underway. In Israel, in the United States, in the strategic waters of the Middle East. The U.S. Navy is strengthening its threat forecasting. Its readiness is increasing. Its warships are moving into position. Part 5. Ground Forces in the Strait. Before a recent White House meeting, a U.S. official spoke to reporters on condition of anonymity. The message was brief but loaded with meaning. The Trump administration will receive an update on the latest military strike plans, the official said. The goal is to increase pressure on Iran to negotiate. But negotiations may no longer be the objective. Sources in the Arab world are reporting a different plan, one that involves ground forces. The proposal is audacious. Seize control of parts of the Strait of Hormuz. Reopen the commercial shipping lane by force. Put American boots on strategic Iranian territory. Other measures are also being considered, closing off additional roads, declaring victory even if the battle is not fully won, working with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to ensure that Iran no longer poses a threat to Israel and its allies. Israel supports the U.S. effort, the defense minister said, but support has its limits. Israel may need to take additional action in the near future, action that could outpace American timelines and American approval. Part 6. Iran's Response. Defiance in the Face of Danger. The Islamic Republic of Iran is not waiting passively for its fate. Major General Mousavi, the commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, stood before his own people and issued a warning. His voice was steady, his eyes were hard. Even a short-term, targeted military operation, he said, would be met with a strong response from Iran. Not a symbolic response, not a retaliatory strike designed for show, a strong response, a response that would make America and Israel pay for every missile they launched. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani also spoke. He accused the United States of using the port closure as an extension of its military action. The blockade, he said, is not an economic measure. It is an act of war. Despite these warnings, U.S. officials have reportedly advised their own energy sector to prepare for a long-term blockade. The message to American oil companies is bleak. This is not going to end quickly. Prepare for months of disrupted supply. Prepare for high prices. Prepare for volatility. The goal remains the same: force Iran to abandon its nuclear program. The method remains the same: economic strangulation backed by military threat. Part 7. Oil at $126. The world pays the price. The escalating tensions have already reached into the pockets of ordinary people around the world. Crude oil surged to more than $126 a barrel, its highest price in 4 years. The spike came before a slight recovery in London trading, but the damage was done. Gasoline prices are rising, heating costs are climbing, the global economy is feeling the squeeze. The cause is unmistakable: military tensions and concerns about oil supplies from the Middle East. Every tanker that passes through the Strait of Hormuz carries not just oil, but the economic health of nations, and that strait is now a potential battlefield. In the United States, rising oil prices have led to rising costs for American consumers. Discontent is growing. The Trump administration is feeling the pressure. Even among the president's own supporters, the domestic effort to justify continued military operations has not found unanimous support. Americans are asking a simple question: why are we paying $126 a barrel for oil? And they are not liking the answer. Part 8. Iran's Economic Freefall. If Americans are hurting, Iranians are collapsing. The Iranian rial has fallen to a historic low against the U.S. dollar. The numbers are almost impossible to comprehend. A currency that once held value is now worth pennies. Savings have been wiped out. Pensions are worthless. The middle class is being erased. The cause is the blockade. With its ports effectively closed, Iran cannot export oil. Food ships cannot enter. Medicine cannot be imported. The shelves are emptying. The hospitals are running out of supplies. The people are growing desperate. Inflation is spiraling out of control. A loaf of bread that cost one price yesterday costs double today. A bottle of medicine that was available last week is nowhere to be found. The Iranian people are bearing the brunt of a crisis that shows no signs of easing. And they are beginning to ask their own question: how much longer can this regime survive? Part 9. The Negotiation Stalemate. Offer and Rejection. Even as the drums of war grow louder, diplomacy continues to whisper. Iran has made an offer. It is a desperate offer, but it is an offer nonetheless. Tehran has proposed easing tariffs and reducing its control of the Strait of Hormuz. The condition is simple. Washington must agree to lift its blockade and open the way for broader negotiations. The United States has heard the offer, and the United States has rejected it. The American position remains unchanged. Before any negotiations can begin, Iran's nuclear program must be suspended. Not discussed, not verified, suspended. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Esel El-Azza responded with weary realism. One should not expect quick results from talks with the United States, he said. Achieving results in the short term is unrealistic. Despite any concessions, the negotiations will take time and great care. The subtext is painful for both sides. Iran cannot afford to wait. The United States will not rush, and the clock is ticking toward war. Part 10. The Paradox of Pressure. The current moment presents a strange paradox. Both the United States and Iran are under intense pressure, but for different reasons. Country, the pressure they face. The consequence. United States, rising oil prices, $126 per barrel. Angry voters, political discontent, pressure on the White House. Iran currency collapse, historic low. Economic freefall, starvation risk, potential popular uprising. The United States wants Iran to negotiate from a position of weakness. Iran wants the blockade lifted so it can breathe. Neither side is willing to make the first move, so they wait. The Americans wait for Iran to break. The Iranians wait for the Americans to blink. And the world watches, holding its breath. Part 11. What comes next? 5 scenarios. As the situation stands, 5 scenarios are now on the table. None of them are good. Scenario 1. Renewed Israeli strikes. Israel may act alone. Without waiting for U.S. authorization, Israeli warplanes could strike Iranian nuclear and missile facilities. The goal, set the program back another decade. The risk, full-scale war. Scenario 2. U.S. ground operations. CENTCOM could seize parts of the Strait of Hormuz. American ground forces could establish control over strategic choke points. The goal, reopen shipping lanes by force. The risk, American casualties on Iranian soil. Scenario 3. Missile deployment. The advanced Diablo III supersonic missile could be deployed to the region. The goal, send an unmistakable message of American technological superiority. The risk, escalating the conflict to a level neither side can control. Scenario 4. Diplomatic collapse. Talks between the U.S. and Iran could fall apart entirely by the end of the week. The goal, none. The risk, immediate hostilities. Scenario 5. Economic surrender. Iran's economy could collapse to the point where Tehran has no choice but to accept U.S. terms. The goal, victory without war. The risk, the regime collapses before it can surrender, plunging the region into chaos. Part 12. The unanswered question. The most important question remains unanswered. It hangs over every meeting, every briefing, every whispered conversation in the corridors of power. Will war resume? Israel says it is preparing. The U.S. Congress is debating authorization for military force. CENTCOM has requested advanced missiles. Iran's currency is in freefall. Oil prices are spiking. All the pieces are in place for another major conflict. The ships are in position. The warplanes are fueled. The missiles are loaded. The only missing element is the final decision, and no one knows which side will make it first. But as the sun sets on the Strait of Hormuz, and the warships patrol the darkening waters, and the people of Iran huddle in their homes wondering if they will eat tomorrow, one thing is certain: the brink is no longer a metaphor. It is a place, and we are standing on it.